it like he actually sees it, and he very rarely overreaches. Which is why when I read his most recent column, I took it so seriously that I wanted to process it with all of you. Ross's latest column is titled, quote, "How the Republican Party Could Break." He thankfully points out that many liberals post-George W. Bush, post-Obama,
Tea Party
post-2012,
days.
somehow the party continued to claw back and even win the presidency just a few years later. But in light of the events at the Capitol, Ross points to a new central breaking point, which is, quote, "not a normal ideological division or an argument about strategy or tactics, but a split between reality and fantasy that may be uniquely hard for either self-interest or statesmanship to bridge." This is a really important point because it requires to understand who Republicans are exactly in the Trump era. It's a coalition, much like its Democratic counterpart, that is full of contradictions. It has sizable minority support after the 2020 election. It has suburban elements. It has increasingly more white working class voters. And overwhelmingly, it is becoming more rural, downwardly mobile, and less educated. As you all know, I think there's a central class element at play. But obviously, that is not the entire story. The truth is that after 2020, the only thing that each parts of the Republican coalition have in common with one another is hating the left. Wealthy suburbanites hate the left over taxes. A small but important minority segment rejects identity politics. Others are afraid of defund the police. And the evangelicals are fighting to replace Roe versus Wade, so on and so forth. It's a party built upon rejection more than it embraces anything. Now, don't get me wrong, this can be very powerful and was proven by Trump. It can also win elections from time to time. But Trump's latest dabbling in Stop the Steal, as Ross points out, could truly be the end. Why? Because, quote, "the implicit bargain of the Trump era required traditional Republicans, from upper-middle-class suburbanites to the elites of the Federalist Society, to live with a lot of craziness from their leaders, and a lot of even crazier ideas from
I
their
can't.
online
I'm about to fall asleep.
base."
Sorry for leaving, guys.
Democrats the White House, it's not clear that this bargain can survive the eruption of
I'll probably be back on at 7.
the halls of the Capitol. The worst part of